Okay, so this is going to be a pretty special video, and that's because OnePlus has reached out to me and they invited me to their HQ last week, and I was actually one of the very few people in the world that got to try out and test their new OnePlus 7 Pro. And I've actually had the OnePlus 7 Pro for close to an entire week now, so here's my 1 week experience / review of the OnePlus 7 Pro. Okay, so after my OnePlus HQ trip last week, they gave me this box. And I've received quite a few review kits before over the years, but this is by far the best one I've ever received. Even better than the personalized Google Pixel 3a box from literally last week. In case you missed those videos, yes, check out our Pixel 3a coverage here. And taking a first look at this box, it's white on the front and on the back, and then red on the side. So pretty much the color scheme of OnePlus, red and white. On the front, we have this OnePlus logo and this tiny window. And once we open this up by the tab here, which is magnetic by the way, really nice touch, we get a full view of the event teaser that you might have seen on OnePlus's Twitter and their OnePlus 7's motto, "Go Beyond Speed." Opening that up, and we get to a full red box that reads "Never Settle." This is what OnePlus stands for, always trying to innovate big with every new release. Taking that out, and it seems like it's an actual booklet which contains the reviewer's guide for OnePlus 7 Pro. And reviewer's guides usually come in PDFs or even just a printed piece of paper, but this is an actual booklet and a really high quality one. By far, this is the best reviewer's guide that I've ever seen. It's close to a 50-page booklet that goes through every big new feature of the OnePlus 7 Pro, most of which you might have already seen at the event. Putting the booklet aside, and we get the OnePlus 7's Pro box, which reads OnePlus Community, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, share, and inspire each other with their passion for tech. I'll get back to this in a second, so let's see what else we get, now that we know that, the OnePlus 7 Pro is definitely in here. It seems like we also get OnePlus's new Bullet Wireless 2 headphones, which have one of the most stylish boxes I've ever seen. Yes, even more stylish than my pair of Beats Solo 2s. The headphones themselves, they do come in this pouch. They do look really nice, and apparently they also sound much better than the previous generation. I'll talk more about these in my full OnePlus 7 Pro review, so definitely stay tuned for that. We also get a OnePlus branded car charger, which I believe would be exclusive to India at launch. And then we also get this jar here on the side of the box, which contains not one, but actually two cases for the OnePlus 7 Pro. We get a classic sandstone case, which reminds us of the unique sandstone bag that the OnePlus 1 and the OnePlus 2 came with. And we also get this brand new one. Personally, I haven't really seen this one before, but I really do like the way it feels and the way it looks. It feels really similar, by the way, to carbon fiber, so I really do like this one. And it seems like we also get a secret OnePlus branded cleaning cloth that was inside of this booklet. Now, when it comes to the actual box of the OnePlus 7 Pro, we have this really nice reflective 7 Pro logo on the front, as well as this texturized red OnePlus logo. And opening the top, and the entire rest of the box is red, so I absolutely love the way OnePlus packaging looks. It's a pleasure to look at, even better than Apple's packaging, to be honest. And we get a booklet which contains the SIM eject tool, a pair of OnePlus stickers, as well as the manual. We also get a silicone case, so if you buy OnePlus 7 Pro, you automatically get this case included. You don't get the two other ones, since those were part of the reviewers pack, but you can buy those separately. This is the one you get inside the box automatically by default. And we also get a thank you message from Pete Lau, OnePlus's CEO and founder. Really nice. And we then get the OnePlus 7 Pro, which I'll put to the side for just 1 second. We get the warp charger and a USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable, which is red. I really love the way this cable looks. This is by far my favorite charging cable. And I should probably mention that you also get a pre-applied screen protector, which does seem to be very high quality. So it might just be tempered glass, not fully sure about this, but it's definitely not just a thin plastic foil. Okay, so that was the unboxing part. Now, I've used the OnePlus 7 Pro and tested it for the past week, and here's what I found. First of all, wow. This was my actual impression when seeing this phone. You've probably seen all the leaks. I mean, we've even modeled our own 3D concept based on those OnePlus 7 Pro leaks. But I mean, seeing this in person, it looks so much better than in the leaks. So yes, design-wise, it looks very similar to a Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus because it's got those curved edges. They're not as abrupt, by the way, as on the S10 Plus, which I do like. It is, however, quite a bit bigger than the S10 Plus and noticeably thicker as well, measuring in at 8.8mm thick. So yeah, this is one of the thickest flagships out there, and it definitely feels chunky and heavy in the hand, especially if you have a case on. But I absolutely love this design. It's just incredible. Yes, the OnePlus 7 Pro uses Samsung's new Infinity display, which they're not even using on their own S10s, by the way. And thanks to this, we have no notch, we have no camera cutout at all, and in fact the bezels are even thinner than on the S10 Plus. The top frame is thinner, even the chin itself is thinner than on the S10 Plus, making the OnePlus 7 Pro, I believe, the second phone after the iPhone XS Max in terms of how thin and small the chin is. Yeah, there's almost no difference between the 7 Pro and the iPhone XS Max in terms of the chin's thickness, but a very big difference in terms of the bezels overall. The 7 Pro looks like something that came from 3 years in the future. It's incredible seeing a phone like this today. Apple, what are you doing? The 2019 iPhones are rumored to look and even leaked to look exactly the same as the 2017 ones, the 2017 iPhone X from the front, while manufacturers like OnePlus are drastically changing the looks of their phones every single year. Now, the back of the 7 Pro also looks really interesting. So our review unit is this Nebula Blue variant, which looks absolutely stunning. So it also has frosted glass on the back, similar to the Pixel 3. So the glass itself is very smooth to the touch, and I really love the way this blue nebula reflects the light. Now, the ports have been relocated quite a bit on the 7 Pro. So we now have the mute switch on the right hand side as opposed to the left, so it's now right next to the power button. We also get dual speakers now, so the earpiece is now a speaker itself as well, similar to the S10 speakers or the iPhone XS Max speakers. And just in case you're curious, this is how the speakers sound like when compared to the S10 Pluses. So they're not as loud as the S10 Pluses, but they do sound pretty good. Now, after booting the 7 Pro and setting it up for the first time, the first thing that I've noticed, aside from the design that I already mentioned, was the speed. Wow. So yeah, this thing is insanely fast. It comes with the world's first 90Hz refresh rate display on a phone, and this is an OLED display. There's no 90Hz OLED displays on phones yet. This is the first one, which means that everything you do is 50% faster and more fluid than on phones such as the iPhone XS Max or the Samsung Galaxy S10, for example. Now, there are some other phones like the Razer Phone 2 that come with an even more fluid 120Hz refresh rate panel. But that's an LCD panel, by the way. This is the first smartphone with an OLED display that has over 60Hz. And combine that with the Snapdragon 855, 12GB of RAM on my unit, and the 256GB of internal storage, which is also UFS 3.0, by the way, the first phone in the world with UFS 3.0, which gives you read speeds of close to 1.5GB per second on a smartphone. And yes, the OnePlus 7 Pro is by far the fastest and most fluid phone I've ever tested and tried. It's a very similar experience to a 2017 or 2018 iPad Pro with that ProMotion display, where everything you do happens in an instant and everything just flows so nicely. The OnePlus 7 Pro honestly feels like the iPhone XS that Apple has never made. I was literally blown away by how fast and fluid this thing was. Coming from the S10 Plus, the 7 Pro was on a completely different level. Obviously, we have Oxygen OS, which is the second closest thing to stock Android, so that's another reason why everything felt so smooth. So I was very impressed by both the design as well as the performance. Now, I haven't really talked about the display quality. So it's a 6.67-inch AMOLED panel made by Samsung with a resolution of 3120 by 1440, which translates to a PPI of 516. And comparing this to the S10's display, they both support HDR10+, and they both look stunning, but I do find the S10's display to be brighter and also a bit more vibrant, even after changing the color profiles in the 7 Pro's display option menus. But considering that you have no display cutout at all on this, and you also have that 90Hz refresh rate, I would personally pick the 7 Pro's display over any other smartphone display just because of this, as well as its larger size, 6.67 inches versus 6.4 or 6.5 like the iPhone XS Max. So if you care about watching content on your phone, then there is no better display on the market than this. So now let's talk about a camera. So since you have no notch or no camera cutout in the display, this means that a front camera module had to be turned into a mechanism that actually slides the camera up when you want to use it. So yes, the OnePlus 7 Pro does use a pop-up camera module, and it does work really well. You open up the camera app, you switch to the front camera, and it opens extremely quick, and there you go, you are ready to take a selfie. So all the 7 Pro Pro cases have been designed with a camera module in mind, so there's actually a gap where the camera module goes. OnePlus claims that they've actually closed and opened the camera module for over 300,000 times, so even if you use the camera module 150 times every single day, it would last you for over 5 years. So some of you might be wondering, does Face Unlock still work? And yes, it actually does. So you just press the power button, it opens up the front camera, and in less than 2 seconds, you're already in your phone. And of course, that there's always that fingerprint reader underneath the display panel itself. This is an optical one, by the way, not an ultrasonic one like on the S10. But honestly, it's much faster than on my S10, and that's all I care about. This is much faster and also much more accurate than my S10's in-display fingerprint reader, and that's, like I said, my main concern. So now, a few extra things that I want to mention. On my S10, whenever I scroll through a web page, a lot of the times the scrolling bounces around, even after I stop. It's extremely annoying, and it seems to be a software issue. Well, I'm glad to say that I don't have any of this on the 7 Pro. Now, something that I absolutely love about the 7 Pro is the new Haptic Engine. So Apple was the first manufacturer to include this back in the iPhone 7 in 2016, and no one has really focused on this that much, aside from Google. In our Pixel 3 videos, I always said that Google has the best haptic engine for when you're typing. Typing on a Pixel is the most intuitive and accurate keyboard I've ever experienced on a smartphone. It's just so good. Samsung has actually improved their haptic engine considerably on the S10, where it's almost as good as the Pixel, and now OnePlus has also added a haptic engine to theirs as well, to the 7 Pro, which itself is pretty much as good as the S10s and the Pixel 3s. So not only is this an amazing device to type on because of that larger display, but you also get haptic feedback when you're doing that. OnePlus has also implemented some more haptic feedback in the menus, for example in the clock app when changing time zones. This reminds me a lot of the haptic feedback that you get on an iPhone when pressing certain UI elements. It's honestly great, it's an amazing experience, and I think that every single manufacturer should adopt this. And fast charging is also on another level on this phone. So even though it comes with a massive 4000 mAh battery, with Warp Charge 30, you can actually charge it, yes, up to 50% in not 30 minutes, but 20 minutes, which is ridiculous. Just to give you guys an idea, my S10 Plus, which comes with a 4100 mAh battery, so slightly larger, charges to 33% in 30 minutes. 33% 30 minutes versus 50% 20 minutes. Okay, so I talked about all the things that I really liked about this phone, but what are the ones that I dislike about the 7 Pro? Well, the first one is the fact that it only charges this fast if you use the built-in charger. So if you use any other USB Type-C charger, like in my case, my MacBook Pro 15-inch charger, it would charge really slow, which is a bit of a pain since pretty much all the other smartphones do support USB Type-C power delivery, but OnePlus phones do not. This means that you cannot really have one charger for every device since you'll always need this specific charger with you if you want to take advantage of fast charging on the OnePlus 7 Pro. So in a way, it has a proprietary charger. And speaking of charging, there is still no wireless charging on this at all. And I get why OnePlus omitted this from the 7 and, the 6T and the other ones, but when you launch a Pro smartphone, especially at a higher price point than before, you need to include Pro features. And the 7 Pro does have a lot of those, except for the essential ones, like wireless charging or USB Type-C power delivery, which I mentioned before. And then the second thing that I don't like, the cameras are decent-ish. So in every single OnePlus video that I've done before, my main complaint has always been the camera. Now with the 7 Pro, we get 3 camera modules on the back, so we get a 3x optical zoom module, we get a 14mm wide angle module, which is not as wide as the 12mm on the S10 Plus, for example, and then we also get a massive 48 megapixel main sensor. But you see, the thing here is that the 7 Pro never takes 48 megapixel images. Instead, it saves everything as 12 megapixel photos and uses the remaining image data to clean up the noise in the image. However, this also means that the pixels themselves are very small, so 0.8 microns versus 1.4 microns like on the S10. So yeah, the camera isn't great in low light at all, and I've even seen noise in shots in which there was a lot of light. Now here's the thing, I actually installed the Pixel 3's camera app on my 7 Pro, and the results were outstanding. So it seems like most of the camera issues are actually to do with the stock OnePlus camera app, so I do expect some updates in the upcoming days to improve the camera. And definitely subscribe and notifications for a Zone of Tech camera comparison this week. We'll be doing a really in-depth one, testing out everything you need to know in terms of the camera, but from my first impressions, it doesn't come close to the Pixel 3's camera or the iPhone XS Max's or the S10's camera at all. Hopefully this will change with some software updates. And I also don't like how there's no always on display on this. I mean, yes, you can tap on the display to bring up the ambient display or lift the phone up, but there's nothing like we have on the S10 or the Pixel 3, where you always have the time and the notification displayed all the time on the display. And then you also miss out on features such as the headphone jack, the microSD card slot, DeX, which actually allows you to fully transform your Samsung phone into a desktop computer by connecting it to a monitor, or VR. Yes, Samsung has the best mobile VR experience on a phone with Gear VR, so yes, I do miss a lot of those features from Samsung, but at the same time, this thing costs significantly less than an S10. And you do get a better display, a near stock Android experience, and the fastest and most fluid UI I've ever seen on a smartphone. And that's by a long margin. I just hope that the camera gets a big upgrade with a future software update as well. But yeah, stay tuned for the full in-depth Zone of Tech review coming in a few weeks once I get to spend more time with this phone. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. This was my initial 168-hour experience with the OnePlus 7 Pro. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the 7 Pro? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's not? Yeah, this has been pretty much it. Stay tuned for that camera comparison as well. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Zone of Tech, signing out. Cheers.